weren't in fight camp, what would you sort of, it looked like at this gym throughout the week for you?
So Mondays is still MMA, and so we probably wouldn't spar. Maybe it's a bit of touch sparring, but it's a chance for us to practice, obviously, everything, bring together the wrestling, jiu-jitsu, striking, and usually there's always someone preparing for something. We've got a few amateurs coming through now. We've got people getting ready for jiu-jitsu tournaments, and so we tend to, because we are quite a small gym, it's cool that we can kind of focus on whoever's getting ready, and kind of bring them along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've heard you said before, like sort of taking it back a bit, how you got into martial arts. I heard you mention about not getting bullied, but
Oh, gosh,
all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what got you into it.
It is, yeah. I started doing a bit of Thai boxing just for a bit of fitness when I was about 15 years old. Then I got into a fight with like these girls and realised I didn't actually know how to fight. I just got done in basically by these three girls.
Was that after you started Thai boxing?
No, I had started, but I was just doing it for a bit of fitness.
Yeah.
I was quite probably still not. I don't like confrontation. I'm used to be even more quietly spoken, a bit shy, didn't really speak up a lot. So, the Thai boxing was just a bit of fun really. But then once that happened, I was like that can't happen again. And I went to my coach at the time, it was Paul Hamilton. I was like, this has happened, and it really knocked my confidence, and I just want to learn how to, stick up for myself. And that was it. I went training from just like a couple of times a week to, I was there 6 days a week, sometimes twice a day. About a year later, I had like my first sort of competition, and that was it. Never looked back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you get involved in the MMA after that, right?
So the MMA came about. So I Thai boxed for a number of years. Had a few fights in Thai boxing, and then so my other half, Will, who you met tonight, he's retired now. He was an MMA fighter, but he started teaching a bit of jiu-jitsu at the Thai boxing gym. And I dabbled in a bit of jiu-jitsu, but again just for fun because I was more focused on Thai boxing. But then Michelle Michelini, back then she was like 7 times world BJJ champ. She was doing seminars in the Northeast, and she was looking for a pro MMA fight. So I took that fight and had 10 weeks to get ready for that, and then that was it. I went from doing Thai boxing and crossed over to the dark side, and did MMA from then on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it? I was just joking about was it money? How did you said before about the money? Was that ever? Was that sort of your incentive for crossing over?
For money?
Yeah.
Not so much at the time. It was when. So after I fought Nicolini, they brought in the strawweight division into the UFC.
Yeah.
And I knew I wasn't anywhere near ready then.
I've heard you mention it. That's all. You're like, not great money in Muay Thai. And,
oh yeah, well no, there isn't. Like unless you're.
Not that there's great money in MMA either.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. But no, in Thai boxing, I wasn't quite at that level. But then, when the UFC brought in the strawweight division, I thought, well, that could be a career, eventually. So yeah.
Obviously, The Ultimate Fighter. How did that come about?
Yeah, that came about. So I fought Nicolini. Realised I had obviously major gaping holes in my jiu-jitsu, so I went and did every jiu-jitsu tournament there was after that. They had the strawweight division where it was the all-female cast, and I knew I wouldn't have been able to get onto it anyway, but I wasn't ready. And then, but I didn't actually have any more MMA fights. But then they auditioned for The Ultimate Fighter again for strawweight season, and I was like, man, do you know what? I'm just going to give it a go. So I'd only had that one fight, so I kind of lied on my application form and flew over to Vegas.
What did you say?
I said I'd had like 3 fights, and I listed down a couple of my mates, as if they wouldn't even like research it and think that's like she's just totally made that up.
Joke about like lying on your CV and hoping no one checks.
Yeah, so I don't know what I was thinking, but I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. But obviously I had fights in Thai boxing, so I did have some fighting experience, and yeah, I managed to get onto that, and that was one of the best experiences ever. Loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it all seemed like a bit of a dream looking back now, like, is it?
Yeah, it was. You know, and sometimes you look back and think, man, like that was me. I can't believe I did that. Yeah, I'd had one fight. Made it to the semi-finals, so I won 2 fights and lost the third one, and I loved it. Like, it was a great experience, and I got to meet obviously Claudia Gadella and her coaching team, and then from there, like, I went over to Brazil to stay there for a month afterwards and do some training, and it was unreal.
After the Ultimate Fight.
Yeah. So we were in that house for like 7 weeks. I came back and I had come on so much just from training with, there was Kate Jackson, Tatiana Suarez and Amanda Cooper, the girls on our team.
So this coming back from Brazil or coming back from like the Ultimate Fighter?
Sorry, coming back from the Ultimate Fighter. Yeah, so coming back from the Ultimate Fighter, obviously I spent just 7 weeks training twice a day, every day, and you know, I came on really, really well. So came back from tough and got on really well with the Brazilian coaches, and he's like, oh, you should come to Brazil, come train here. I was like, okay, cool. So I went over there for a month and trained at Nova União, so in Rio, and again that was I wrote a blog about that recently, well not recently, a while ago. I shared it recently because that was probably the hardest training experience I've ever had in my entire life. Not just the actual training itself, just the whole thing that I got ill, like as soon as I got there. I was covered in like mosquito bites, I got sunburn, I was like training in like that heat in the gi, the language barrier, like everything. I was by myself for the first week. Will came over for a couple of weeks and then I finished out last week by myself, and where I was staying was right in the favelas, and the concrete stairs to get to it, like after every training session.
Still giving you nightmares now.
It was got, yeah. Stop nightmares now. It was horrendous. I'd get to the bottom of the stairs with like my rucksack with like my sogging wet gi in it, and I would just look at the stairs and think, fuck. Oh God. But yeah, it was.
You mentioned training in a gi. How come was that if you were obviously MMA based?
Oh, I like training in the gi. Yeah, I train in the gi here, like unless I'm specifically getting ready for a fight. Yeah, I train in the gi, so 2-3 times a week. I think I prefer no gi, but I still like to learn in the gi as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's different. Because most people I chat to just say, no, I need. Yeah, I mean, obviously coming from MMA, just no gi.
Yeah. No, I like to. No, I like to learn in the gi as well. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it? Look, in the Ultimate Fight House, I don't think you got as much camera time as maybe some other people.
No, probably not. I was really shy, and obviously the Ultimate Fighter is about making good telly as well. So yeah, it was. That was my first kind of experience of being like interviewed all the time, having a camera there all the time, and you know, some of them were in there a lot more confident, outspoken, and playing like practical jokes on each other and things like that. And yeah, it took a bit of getting used to being around the cameras all the time. Yeah.
You said afterwards you got like quite close to obviously everyone else living there. Do you still stay in touch with anyone else? Or?
I do. I'm like good friends with Kate Jackson now. So she was the other English girl on our team, and I knew who she was because she already done MMA for quite a while. I'd never actually met her, and she's great. Like, I still speak to her now. I went down to train with her not long ago. She's been up to train here. You know, she's a real cool person, and I'm glad that I got to meet her and make a friend from it, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going from there to training in Brazil, like you said, then obviously coming back to the UK afterwards, what was that like?
It's quite nice because I was broken after Brazil, like physically.
Yeah.
Oh, it was like, you know, I just did tonight, right? It's like that every single day, and I physically just, my body just couldn't cope. So it was good, but I do like how we do things here. There's a mix of intensity, so we have sessions like that, then we have just skill work sessions, and it's not, we don't fight to the death every session.
Just tonight when I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah.
The lab, obviously, with Will, is that something you two started together?
Kinda. So Will started it with someone else originally, about 12 years ago now, and then I was at uni at the time, so I was studying what did I study? Sport and exercise science, right? So and I was.
Before I said that, I was like, it's gonna be art or something.
No, I did do art. I did art all the way through school and college. I even went to do fashion. You wouldn't think it, but and then I was on my fashion degree, and I was like, what am I doing? So yeah, I went over to do.
I want to pick people up on telly for anything.
Yeah, why not? So yeah, I was studying that at uni. I was doing my placement with Barry Gibson, who had grapple fit in Sunderland. So I didn't feel qualified to teach or to run any classes with Will, but so he kind of got started, and then bit by bit I started building up classes here, and now I teach here full time. So yeah.
Do you enjoy the coaching?
I do. I love it. So I teach fitness classes, and Will kind of teaches all the skill classes. I do the beginners MMA, but then I have a focus more on like females.
Yeah.
I've always tried to get more girls involved in the gym, and now I'm buzzing because I actually have a female teenage girls class, and I've got some consistent numbers come in, which I'm really pleased with, because it's how I started, and I went into teach at a few schools to try and get more girls involved, but I prefer doing it here, to be honest, because they want to come. Do you know what I mean? So when I was going into the schools, it's kind of you could see some of them didn't actually want to be there. But no, I think martial arts is a really good sport for anyone to get into.
Do you think any of them have some sort of misconceptions before they start about what MMA is actually like?
Yes, definitely. They come in and they think they have to be strong, and and I'm like, it's not about strength. Obviously it's good to be strong. And then I'll double leg Will, and I'm like, look, he's 6'2" and 80 kilos, and I'm able to do this, and some of them will be like, oh, it's brutal and it's violent, and I'm like, it's an art and there's skill. But yes, you do punch each other in the face, essentially. So yeah, but they love it.
Jiu-jitsu, the gentle art, but
Yes.
doesn't seem very gentle.
Can be quite mean, can it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, your previous fight against Jade.
Yes.
After a bit of a layoff, how was that getting back in there?
Oh, mint. So good. I was actually so nervous leading up to that fight, because obviously I had been out for over 2 years. I understood she had, as well as a lot of people, obviously had that whole year
due to
off.
COVID
Yeah. But I had a year, I had a year off before that, not because of any reason, I just didn't get any fights, but that was a loss in Poland, and this is going to be my first one back, and it was like, it was local, I had loads of people coming to watch, so yeah, I was real nervous, but I was also real confident as well, because I'd known about that fight for 10, 11 weeks, and I trained for obviously a long time, and I just, I was very excited to get back in there, and pleased when I got the win.
Yeah. First round finishes.
I know.
Boost your confidence a bit more again now for this next one.
Yeah, because God, we'd worked on all sorts, and I kind of didn't get to show a lot of it. So, but I was really happy with how that went. You know, I love being in the clinch position, and I work on that a lot. So it kind of knees and elbows. That's my thing. So yeah, I was pleased with that. Yeah.
Obviously, recently as well, you commentating.
Yes.
How did you find that?
Again, I was really nervous for that. So it was on British Fighting Championships, and thankfully I did it with Jake, who has CBD Live and Fighting Talk, and he's done that before. So I was like, listen, just keep me right, you know, because it's the whole. Once you've said something, you can't take it back. Yeah. You know, it's live, and I'm trying to get what I'm seeing, like, processed and to come out of my mouth before it's finished. Do you know what I mean? And I found it quite hard at the beginning, because a lot of them were debuts, so I didn't really know much about them, and a lot of it was real fast paced, real intense.
Just trying to call things out, like you were saying, as quick as you
trying
could.
to call it, and I did struggle a little bit, but I kind of got my groove as the fights went on, and I actually really enjoyed it. I'd definitely do it again. Yeah.
Obviously, I mentioned like the Ultimate Fighter and stuff earlier. Do you feel like that came a bit too early on in your career?
Kinda, because obviously I think if I'd have somehow won and got in, I wouldn't have had the skill set there and then to stay in the UFC, and I think once you get out, it's a lot harder to go back in. But I don't regret going for it, you know. Like I said, it was one of the best experiences ever, and it brought me on massively as a fighter, and it obviously highlighted, I did have quite a few holes in my game, and it kind of worked out well, I reckon. Yeah.
Is the UFC still your goal then?
Definitely. UFC, Bellator, one championship, anything.
All of them?
Yeah, all of them. Yeah. Like I said, I'm just, I've got this fight coming up in Sweden, and I still, even though the TUF was 5 years ago, I still feel quite early in my career. I've still only had about 10 fights, 11 fights now. But a lot of those have been tough fights, you know, and I didn't have the amateur record before that. So, yeah, I just want to keep improving, keep getting better, and work my way up,
You mentioned, obviously, it is a bit of a smaller gym. For preparation for each of your fights, do you spend all your time here, or do you find yourself travelling around a little bit more to find them sparring partners? Yeah,
I do travel a little bit. So the last, for Jade, I was travelling down to Keighley to train with a girl called Jackie Harper, and she was brilliant. She mimicked Jade really well. So I was going down there once a week to do all my sparring, but I do all my skill work here. I've got people here that I can drill with, practice with, do some light rounds with. But
it's easy to drill skill regardless of, obviously.
Yeah, there's like that guy Luke, who I was training with tonight. He's only ever had 2 winter clubs, but the way he moves, you'd think he'd had like a bunch of amateur fights, you know. He's He's a good training partner, and again, he's only light. He's only like 60 kilos.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it ever, obviously a lot of opponents when they're coming up against you, obviously because of your Muay Thai background, obviously as a Muay Thai fighter, and obviously a lot of them go for the takedown against you.
Yeah.
Does that ever get frustrating for you?
No.
When they just see you as that sort of one-dimensional fighter?
Yeah. I kind of don't mind it because in order to take me down, they have to get close, and I really like being in the clinch. So you know, obviously at the beginning, I had to really
Knees
work
and elbows,
on.
like you were saying.
Yes. Yeah. At the beginning, I really did have to work on my takedown defense, and I was a little bit. I was always a little bit worried about getting taken down because I didn't believe in my own ground game. But now I've got submission finishes from bottom, from top. You know, I can grapple, I can wrestle, I can strike. But it's kind of where the fight goes. I'll go with it. Yeah.
Go with the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it.